Happy Sunday night to the Reasonable Arguments News and Nonsense listeners. I don't know how many we have out there. Hopefully we get a couple tonight. So this is our 6th episode of News and Nonsense. It is Sunday night. We took all of our Christmas stuff down today, which makes it truly sad because now I guess we're just in 2025 and resuming as normal. So
we had to get back to normal at some point.
We did. So as always, you are with Jamie and Jennifer. We are husband and wife. And the conversations that we have on the show are normally ones that we have at home. So you're getting to hear them as we speak them instead of doing it on our couch. We're going to do it for listeners so they can really see where our minds go. As always, we are unfiltered and unedited. So whatever you hear in the background, we can't help. So that being said,
including us interrupting one another.
Oh yeah, you're good at that.
Yeah,
you're good at that.
Yeah, well, you're pretty expert as well.
All right, so let's get into it. What do you got, James?
So, I was working on a Substack that's also Reasonable Arguments that is predictions for 2025. And so, we are just about 15 days from Donald Trump being inaugurated for the second time. And, there's expected to be a lot of first day activity, a lot of just people and him making a lot of decisions, reversing a lot of the nonsense that Joe Biden passed through executive order or that he reversed Donald Trump's executive orders. And then Donald Trump has claimed that, hey, we're going to, actually pass laws. I'm going to pass executive orders. So this stuff starts immediately. But we're going to pass laws through the House and Senate and sign them into law, so it's harder for the next president to come in and just sign an executive order and reverse it. A good example would be the Paris Climate Treaty. Donald Trump came in 2017. A treaty has to be ratified by the U.S. Senate. The Paris Climate Accord was never ratified by the U.S. Senate, so we technically joined under Obama in 2015. President Trump, one of his first actions in 2017 was to remove us from the climate accord, which of course took till late 2020. You can't just get out of an accord. And then Biden, by February, it's like, oh no, we're back in. So I think you'll see things like that will immediately take place, like removing us from the Paris Climate Accord.
I hope everybody else knows what you're talking about because I don't.
Okay, so the Paris Climate Accord is where, many nations got together and said, for the most part, industrialized countries, we're going to rob from the rich and pay the poor. And we're going to use the climate as the reason why. We're using too many, the United States is Germany, France, England are making the earth too hot. Although the Paris Climate Accord doesn't apply to economies like China and India, where where half the population of the world lives. So it's really just a way to punish America for being an economic superpower.
Okay.
And so why Joe Biden would want to punish Americans for being an economic superpower, you'd have to ask him. But it has long been Democrats' ideal to, punish Americans for being a superpower. And they use the climate accords and, it used to be global warming. Now it's climate change, all these things that they claim are happening due to human actions, right? So I think China's going to have a huge influence on 2025. And I honestly think that's one reason why Florida's U.S. Senator Marco Rubio was elected Secretary of State, because he has taken such a hard line on China. And, in all of this, a lot of the things that I know that you hear about or have heard about, because we've talked about it, touch on China, like the Panama Canal, Greenland. You asked me the other day, I was like, why does Donald Trump want to make Greenland a state, right? Why does he want to make Canada a state? Well, we can get into it. The ban on TikTok, tariffs, electric vehicle mandates, all of those things touch on China and China's push to become a global superpower that rivals the United States and to diminish the United States standing in the world. So all of those things they're all touch on China.
Where are Teslas made?
I don't know, you're the one with the computer available, so you have to look at it. I'm not sure where they're manufactured. But, obviously the border is going to be a big issue day one. The energy and economy, I think you'll see the Trump tax cuts come back day one. I already mentioned the Paris Climate Accord. And, that those are kind of some of the big things I think you'll see immediately. We did talk about being able to multitask in the last episode. And so Jennifer got distracted by looking at where are Tesla's.
I wasn't. I didn't know I had to even say anything because I don't have any kind of input for anything you just talked about.
Hey,
listen, if we're being honest, I didn't.
So you did ask me, let's just talk about Greenland a second, right? So you asked me, why would Donald Trump make this claim that, why does Donald Trump want to make Greenland a state? And the truth of the matter is that, Greenland has, rare minerals, oil, natural gas, and they're not very well defended. They're kind of, nobody's really thought about. And with whatever's happening with the climate change, there are melting of the ice and polar caps in the Arctic region, which is creating more shipping lanes for China so they can avoid the Suez Canal.
So how have they not thought about it?
So how
China?
They are thinking about it.
Oh.
That's why it's important that we as Americans say we make a commitment to supporting Greenland, because we don't want China to get a foothold in the Arctic region and get, access to the rare minerals that are there that are used for supercomputing, oil, gas, and, the shipping lanes that are, I don't know that the shipping lanes necessarily are, we're going to battle them on that, but we would rather Greenland be our ally than China compromise them and China get that foothold in Greenland. Now, does Greenland become a state? Probably not, but I was going to say in Greenland, do you have predictions for 2025?
No.
Not political?
Other than Elon.
Yeah, so that's certainly interesting. Jennifer, in our last podcast, talked about how Elon Musk is the world mastermind.
He is the next Batman villain.
That is what you said.
That is exactly what I said.
Then you went and you tried to describe the Joker in 8 different ways. And so
I think the last Batman movie I watched was the Lego Batman, which is just super cute. And they probably still had the same characters in there, but I didn't pay attention. And it's been a while. So,
right.
But yeah, I think that is probably, I guess it just, there's questions because the news story came out today. Are you interrupting?
No, go ahead. Yeah.
The news story came out today about the Vegas, the guy who blew himself up in Vegas. And, they found writings from him explaining why he was doing what he was doing. And so one of the things that I find interesting, because I'm not sure how to take this as, someone not in the political world or anything like that, but he says that he's doing this, number one, because of the brothers that he lost in battle, and because of, quote unquote, it says, why did I personally do it now? I needed to cleanse my mind of the brothers I've lost and relieve myself of the burdens of the lives I took. And then, of course, it says he is a Trump supporter. But then he also wrote, fellow service members, veterans, and all Americans, time to wake up. We are being led by weak and feckless leadership who only serve to enrich themselves. Now, to me, is he talking about Trump? Is he, if he is talking about Trump, why is he doing this now before Trump is even back in office? Like, what is the message?
I always question, he didn't release any state secrets, supposedly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I always question why someone would think that their martyrdom, that anybody would care. And I'm not trying to take anything away from the guy, but I'm just like,
I understand.
Why do I care what his manifesto says?
But that's not even the point. The point is that sentence, like, what, if he is a Trump supporter, then trying to get into the mind of him, I guess, is not something that we could do. But it just that sentence just kind of struck me as contradictory, right? And of course, the Americans on the other side are going to take it that, oh, he did this because he doesn't want to deal with a country that Trump is running. But it just seems odd to me, and I guess it just makes me wonder if we're going to see more of this because of the guy in New Orleans. He then signed on to be part of ISIS and all of that kind of stuff. Is this something we're going to see with the military folks? That is this going to become a thing?
Well, it's a question. I'd love to talk to some of my military friends about it, right? Because at what point do your personal beliefs supersede the greater what the military believes, which is the greater good? And this seems to be a case where an individual thinks that his personal beliefs are more important than the greater good. I never believe that you have a lasting impression. There are a few cases throughout history, but we probably can name them. That's how important they were, right? Where somebody made a lasting impression through martyrdom, and I don't know that this guy reaches the level of being that influential dead. Like if he wanted to be influential, he could have been more influential alive. And, even being, having a podcast like this, or, he sent an email to a podcaster after he died, wouldn't he have been as influential or more influential appearing on that podcast versus sending an email, post-mortem and, or sending it just prior to his death. So, so just always, I always think that people at some level, in this case, maybe PTSD, maybe some other, emotional.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, we see it all the time with our veterans, but
yeah.
But we can. But I read that today, and that just kind of was sitting on my mind. But we can definitely go back.
Your question for 2025 is: are we going to see more of this?
Well, I'm just and I guess this kind of leads me to Elon, because Elon is a new leader, let's say, and we talked about this the last episode with the DOGE, and the fact that he did blow himself up in a Cybertruck,
right,
and left that note. So this just even more solidifies my thought that Elon is just really going to do something to this.
Well,
country.
The interesting thing is you brought this up in a podcast, and there have been slight rumblings. I mean, barely any rumblings from what I've seen on X or social media accounts about Elon and maybe him being nefarious. In fact, he was 96 hours ago, prior to you talking about it, that Elon was a hero on Twitter and X, because everyone was so excited that they aren't filtered and they are able to say what they want and without everything. Now, in that period of time, Elon Musk also said, hey, listen, we're going to change our algorithm a little bit so that people who are talking about positive things can get their content read as well. And so it's not just going to be people throwing darts who, the algorithm's going to benefit. And so everyone's like, oh yeah, so the memes all went crazy about Elon. But, within 48 hours of your criticism of Elon, or your conspiracy, I think I even called it a conspiracy of Elon, was that the Washington Post wrote an article about, is Elon Musk trying to take over the world? And now today, Drudge Report, which is a news aggregator. And I also wrote that, we're the new Drudge Report right here at Reasonable Arguments, because, number one, I gave a half a dozen examples of things that I wrote in my blog that were months in advance that became true, including Joe Biden waiting until after the Republican National Convention to leave the race. That was written prior to him securing the nomination to be the Democratic nominee. That was written before ballot access had closed for Democrats to even join the race. In fact, when I wrote that, Gavin Newsom was rumored to be getting in the race. And I still predict that Joe Biden would be the nominee and that he would wait until after a Republican National Convention and leave the stage because of Democrats. And they would use his health as a reason to force him from the stage. All of that turned out to be true. And then you come in and you're like, oh, I'm not political. But then you make this case against Elon Musk. And now today on Drudge Report, the news aggregator, the Drudge Report's even 4 or 5 days behind what you claim. But what are some of the headlines that you're reading there?
The world is his playground. Musk continues meddling in UK affairs. Germany sends warning to Elon, hands off of our democracy. Bannon slams world richest. He's instituting communist social credit score. And it
I think some of those have updated since I just read it 2 hours ago. And so how do you feel, like you're not political, you really haven't been a newsmaker, and yet here you are on the cutting edge of international breaking news?
I'll be honest with you, I'm a little nervous. I'm more afraid of Elon Musk than I think I was ever afraid of Kamala Harris.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you just think he's that evil of an operator?
I think he is. I think that he has so much power and almost shame on Trump for giving him this position that doesn't exist. I'm not worried about Vivek. I think that he's stand up. I think that he's a good guy. But yeah, I really think that he is a diabolical.
I will tell you, Vivek Ramaswamy also has grown on me over the past year.
Yeah.
More than a year ago or during the debates, I called him that he sounded like a petulant child, and that while I agreed with his 10 points during the debates, I called them bumper strip, bumper strip diplomacy or bumper strip campaigning. And, but the truth of the matter is I didn't disagree with what he was saying.
Bumper sticker?
Bumper sticker.
Yeah, bumper sticker.
Here in the South, we might call them bumper strips, but.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So she just called everybody in the South stupid. You'll see that on Drudge Report in 48 hours.
You also say soda, and I say pump. So,
yeah, well, that's just silly.
Yeah.
I used to say Coke until it just became too many versions of Coke, Pepsi, Diet, blah, blah, blah. But
you're hating yourself.
If you're in the South,
when you had that one soda growing up, you only had one version.
Yeah. Right. Well, you could get that orange Fanta.
There you go.
My grandma Canoles always had Fresca. That was always exciting.
Oh, nice.
Try that.
That's what nobody else drank it. Yeah, left it for the kids.
That's exactly right. Or
No, I think I've seen Vivek out with. I watched him a lot with Charlie Kirk during the whole election cycle and all of that. So it was. I think that's where I never really cast a judgment on him prior to, good for him for getting up and doing what he did at his age and, having that confidence. But I think watching him out with Charlie Kirk on these campuses and talking to these kids, and I definitely found a new.
I'll tell you, over the last year, I went from this guy will never be president of the United States to I could really relish working for him.
Yeah.
And to become president of the United States. That's how much of an impression he made on me during that year.
Right.
And so I agree with you that, I think he's doing it for the right reasons. And so I could be wrong, but that's the type of impression he's made upon me.
Right.
But I also think he's grown a lot in that year. If you go back and look at videos from him a year ago, I think he did come across a little petulant. So anyway, what other predictions did you have other than Elon Musk? No, well, let me ask you this. Do you think the Trump-Elon Musk bromance continues through 2025?
No.
No. Okay. So how does that breakup look like to you, and what happens?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think that this is a scary road that we are going down, because you have these two powerful men that are, and I truly in my heart don't believe that Trump is backing everything that Elon does. I truly don't believe that. But I think having these two powerful men probably eventually going head to head, I think it's going to be scary.
Well, and just last week there was a.
But here's what I will say.
I always do the interrupting.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I will say the difference between Trump and Elon is that Trump is 100% for America. And I don't believe that Elon is.
And we spoke about that with his dual citizenship. Yes. And who.
Well, it's not even that. It's not even that. It's just, I think that his head is just so big, and he has been,
by head you mean ego.
Ego, yes. His ego was at another southern.
No, he could have a big head. He could just have a big head.
My literal husband. But yeah, I think that he has just been allowed to, do all the crazy shit that he has done because of his power and his money, that, now you have Trump coming in and.
Well, there's another major difference. Trump has been elected president of the United States and Elon Musk has not.
Correct.
And so Trump certainly has the last word. And I agree with you that Donald Trump, I think Donald Trump's doing that with a lot of people who he has brought into his, maybe not inner circle, but the second circle, right?
Yeah.
And so much so that Trump's transition team and Chief of Staff Susie Wiles announced last week that if you're in line to be an appointee, especially if you need U.S. Senate confirmation, you shall not do any social media unless it's approved by the transition office.
Right.
So Elon Musk hasn't stopped using X. So I kind of feel like the I don't want to say the breakup has started, but the two sharks in the pool.
Job. It's not even a real job. It's to get him in the door and have him sleep at wherever Trump lives and go to all these parties and stuff. It's for him to be seen.
Right. So yeah, so we'll see. And so
if it does come down to where Elon is starting to, and I don't know if he would necessarily per se go against Trump and, go the other side, but I think that, but let's just say he does. Do the Democrats reach out to him?
They're silly if they're not reaching out to him already.
Yeah.
And so there's also already been a little break on deportations between Elon and Donald Trump. Now, Donald Trump, I think, has started talking, listen, we're talking about deporting potentially 13 million people. This is not a border policy where, we kind of caught 3 million people coming across the border in 2020 and used what we call Title 42, which is an immigration policy going back to the 40s that would, say, okay, we're sending you immediately back to your country of origin, which is what happened during COVID.
Right.
So they use this Title 42 to say, it's kind of like if there's a measles outbreak, back in the day. Well, if you have measles, you're not allowed in the country.
Yeah.
And so since we couldn't tell if you had COVID or had been exposed to COVID, you're not allowed in the country. So there's speculation that is one thing that they will use, not only the border wall, not only surveillance and drones and all of those things, but from a statutory outlook, they'll use something like Title 42 that if you're coming across the border unfettered, we don't know what you're bringing with you.
Right.
And so we'll see, and, back to a little bit on Greenland, just to talk about the defense, one of Donald Trump's former national security advisors had a quote not some time ago, but a couple weeks ago, that said, Greenland, that America needs to help Greenland defend itself because, Greenland can no longer defend itself with dog sleds. Because they just never have had to. Nobody's won in Greenland before.
Right.
And now it's becoming a pivotal geopolitical area, almost as important as the Panama Canal. We know the Panama Canal is important. Jimmy Carter died last week, and he was somebody who, gave the lease back to Panama, the 99-year lease. And most people think erroneously so. we have 6% of the world's goods, all of the world's goods travel through the Panama Canal. And so it's a super strategic area. Senator Rubio is adamant about keeping the Panama Canal, not under American control, but neutral control with, American dominance, if you will, or American influence. And, just because how important the Panama Canal is to Latin America, and Marco Rubio is a huge fan of Latin American and spreading and killing communism and spreading freedom throughout Central and South America. So I think you'll see, I think that will become a major issue. And I think Senator Rubio, being from Miami and from Florida, and a long time friend and acquaintance, I think it's going to be great to see him implement some of the things that we've talked about for over 2 decades.
Yeah.
And so it's an exciting time and it certainly is an exciting time for Floridians. There's not a week that goes by that aren't more Floridians aren't announced to be part of the administration. This week, our friend Morgan Ortegas, who and I think respect, she lives in Tennessee now, but she was homegrown Florida, Polk County native. And, she was announced this week as a special envoy to the Middle East piece. So she was the comms director for the Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, in Trump's first administration. So it's great. Congratulations, Morgan, on your appointment. I've always enjoyed watching her career and how much it's taken off. And I know she will make the country and all of Florida proud in her future endeavors in that super important role.
Great.
So
why are you looking at me?
I'm looking at you because you always say that I talk too much, so I'm giving you. Take a breath, and I'm like letting you talk. And you just look at me like
I'm not used to that. I'm not sure how that's right now.
You're not used to it unless you're yelling, and then I get real quiet.
Oh, jeez.
You get real quiet.
What else do you have on your predictions?
So those are kind of my predictions I have at the foreign level. I didn't do state because I thought that would be part of a whole different show.
Okay.
I went in and researched hurricane predictions, and funny enough, those predictions don't come out until the spring.
Oh, good.
So
I'm not even ready to think about that.
I couldn't include those, and then I thought about looking up like Nostradamus and the Farmer's Almanac, but I thought we would talk enough about China to get us through our time.
Oh, we're good. I mean, I still have, I have stuff to talk about too.
I know, but you usually like me, you keep the phones over there. I'm just sitting here talking until you want to get into your stuff. And then, so I know we're trying to do about 40 minutes total. So
I normally give you the wrap it up sign. Keep it short.
So
I can carry us to the end.
I'm certain I can play off of your nonsense more than you played off of my news. Let's put it that way.
I'm sorry, babe. I don't think I read the same news that you do. Yours seems to be a little bit less exciting than the stuff that I read. So
read or watch on TikTok.
Listen, I haven't even been on TikTok. I am weaning myself off because I figured if it's going away, I'm just gonna, I'm done. I'm not gonna hold on to it to the last minute.
So you think it's going away?
Did you not have
Yes.
Literally yelled at me telling me it was going to be banned. And then on our last podcast, you're like, well, they're doing this.
You never know until you know.
It's probably going to be banned.
Well, you never know until you know.
I don't know if it's going to go away.
Yeah, it goes before the U.S. Supreme Court this week, January 10th. Oral arguments. So,
do we watch those on TikTok?
I do not know that those are available on TikTok.
I bet they are.
They're not available on video. They live stream the audio recording.
Oh.
And I am weird enough that I have
live stream an audio recording.
Yes. Live. Is that what it's called?
I don't know.
Yeah. You can listen to it live.
Audio recording.
You can listen to it live. Oh, the recording is redundant, or the contradictory phrase you're giving me crap about. No, you can listen to the U.S. Supreme Court live, but not video.
Okay. So I may do that.
So, okay. So you're thinking you might listen to the U.S. Supreme Court's oral arguments?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Listen, because of TikTok, I started watching some of the Congress things when they go after like the airlines and stuff like that. I watch all it in the credit card companies. You get all that on TikTok. You don't get, where do you get that other kind of stuff in short little segments?
well, you don't get it in short
pull you
segments.
in.
You get it
Yeah. I get that from TikTok.
You have to watch the whole thing, and so you get the whole breadth of it.
See, that's what's mind numbing. I mean, just give me the good parts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is you want to just be influenced by corporate media that just gives you the 30
No,
seconds
I want to get to the point where Senator Hawley or whatever he is screaming at someone, and whether it be the credit card company or the airline, and basically telling them how stupid they are.
Okay, so I have a question.
What?
Do you know what state Senator Hawley's from?
I'm going to say that he is from Texas.
I don't think so.
Oh, you don't even know?
No.
Oh my God. And I even knew that he was a senator.
I'm going to say Missouri.
Let's see.
Uh-oh.
Missouri.
Yeah, there you go.
He is in Missouri. Same thing. It's the same thing.
Yeah, it's same.
So
Basically the Midwest.
Yeah. Yes, anybody listening. If anybody from Pittsburgh is listening this, my husband has, since the day we met, called Pittsburgh the Midwest, which is just ridiculous.
There's no question it's in the Midwest.
We are the Northeast.
There's no question it's not the Northeast. Philadelphia is the Northeast. Pittsburgh's the Midwest.
Okay. All right. So,
like literally, if you go 12 miles across the river
goodness.
into Ohio, you call that the Midwest. So you're just saying because you're part of a state that touches the Northeast, you're in the Northeast, but you're.
Do you want to Google this?
Your actual
I mean,
city.
you can't Google it now because we're on a show and you won't be able to concentrate on anything else.
Well,
so
and
we'll Google it after.
And you take my phone from
Yes, we'll
go the podcast.
We will Google it after
So
and we'll report
So
that.
I can't, but you use
to our
your phone
fans.
the whole time to bring your file. So
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you'll read.
But you did a segue into one of the things I was going to talk about when you said you can live stream the audio recording. So
Thank you. Thank you for bringing it up again, Dave.
So I brought up some funny headlines that are just like you said. So one of them was something went wrong in a jet crash, expert says. Obviously, right? Police begin campaign to run down jaywalkers. Enraged cow injures farmer with an axe.
Okay, you got to tell that story a little bit.
I don't know. It's just a list of fun headlines. Yeah, okay. But I will bring it next podcast. Farmer Bill dies in house. Farmer Bill dies in house. Get it?
No.
The farmer's name is Bill.
Yeah.
Farmer Bill dies in house.
Okay.
It could go both ways, right?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. Teacher strikes idle kids. There's no punctuation. Don't put punctuation. Minors refuse to work after death. Juvenile court to try shooting defendant. War dims hope for peace. If strike isn't settled quickly, it may last a while.
Yeah, that sounds like a yogiism, right?
Cold wave linked to temperatures. Red tape holds up new bridges. Man struck by lightning faces battery charge. Which I actually got a chuckle out of.
I mean,
it's funny.
You can't bring that, especially one like that. Like, who did he batter? Like, what happened? What's the rest of the story? Like, what?
It's just headlines, man. It's just headlines. It's literally labeled funny headlines.
I think people are going to want to know.
I will bring the stories to you next podcast. But then my final story of the night is a bride and groom who can't agree on wedding size and style, so they are having separate his and hers ceremonies.
So they're getting married separately.
They're having two separate weddings.
Oh, because one for him and his friends and family, and one for her.
Yes, but everybody has to attend both weddings.
So are the weddings back to back, or are they different?
Yeah, they're going to be on the same day.
Okay.
Yeah, they're going to be on the same day. So
what were the big hang-ups?
She wants a small wedding. He wants a big wedding.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of compromising, I mean, that's really all it said, but it said for their non-traditional nuptials, the bougie bride has arranged a destination micro wedding to be held over 3 hours away from the pair's hometown. So maybe they are having it on different days. And then everybody has to everybody has to attend both. And then her husband, her soon-to-be husband, has organized a large local bash. And it says the newlyweds have secured separate venues, hired staff, and created 2 different gift registries, according to the Post, which is firing up fury from readers.
Double presents.
Yeah, double presents, right? And, obviously I don't know. It's not, this is literally coming from a Reddit reader. I guess this came up from somewhere. So there's not even any documentation from a family on how mad they are. But they're like, the readers are like, this is the dumbest, most self-centered thing that I've ever heard. And, if they were, first of all, they're trying to, I guess, double dip on gifts, right?
Yeah, that's kind of a
horrible.
Right.
And they want everybody that is invited to attend both weddings.
Well, it sounds like she has a micro wedding, so it's many fewer people, and then he is, wants a bigger wedding locally.
Yeah. Oh, so actually, the sister-in-law did reply. She goes, "We have to go to both weddings," and she's saying the sister-in-law is being just a teeny bit bonkers and has thrown temper tantrums over it already.
Why do I have to give up 2 weekends? I mean, I have to, I can see saying, hey, come to one or the other, but oh no, you have to come. Like who mandates that to people? Like you can't come to one without coming to the other.
Yeah. And then hers, they must pay upwards of $200 per night at a 2-night minimum for lodging at the Mountainside Hotel where her wedding is.
Yeah. I'd blow that off.
And
I'd get a flat tire on the way to that one.
Yeah. So they both made their guests pay $333 per person for tickets to their Big Apple themed day. And the best friend Jake, I don't know who that is, charged him and other well-wishers $2,500 to attend his vows swap. I mean, would you do that? There's no way I would pay for...
I'm kind of with the guy, let's do something local, and the more the merrier.
Right. But it sounds like a wedding not to forget.
Sounds like 2 weddings.
Wedding not.
I got it.
You tie the knot?
Yeah, I got it.
Oh, you got my joke?
You're being liberal with the word joke. That's pretty liberal with that.
That was good. I mean, I come up with things for these, right?
You've come up with better.
Oh,
I think you can. This is just me being encouraged.
Listen, your stories weren't that great today either. So let's.
I at least had a whole list of things, but your eyes glazed over, and I was like, "Well, I can't continue."
Yeah, people probably already disconnected. We need people to download.
Yeah,
download. So we
should start with your stories.
Oh, and then end boring.
Yeah, why not?
Everybody would sign off in the first 5 minutes. We don't want that either. What we want you to do is go to your favorite streaming platform, no matter what it will be. We're probably on them all. Download, go to every streaming platform, download, subscribe, do whatever you can to help us.
Hit the like button. Yeah.
Yes. Comment, reach out to us. Tell us what you'd like for us to talk about.
I would like to give the little sister some kudos.
Yes.
Because, last podcast, we gave her a little bit of crap.
Yeah.
She would, instead of commenting on a platform,
she texted us.
Text. Yeah. Well, this time she commented. And she commented everywhere. She commented, I think, on YouTube.
Oh, I have.
She commented on Substack. And she commented on LinkedIn.
Good for her.
So she took direction well.
Thank you, Christy. Thank you for setting an example.
Yeah. So
you're not as bad as your brother says you are.
Come on. Jeez, I love you, Christy.
Well, we thank you all for joining us on this Sunday night. We are in the thick of, I guess, tomorrow starts really the week for everybody. Holidays are over.
Oh, yeah.
The grind starts tomorrow. And as we promised, we are planning to do 100 podcasts this year. And we're almost there. Yeah. 98 to go.
Yeah.
We got this.
We got 2 in the first week, just like we said we would.
Perfect. So
we're on track for 104.
Yeah, so we are killing it, and I promise we will have better content. Even if I have to preview it before the show, we'll have better content. I'm just kidding.
Now she's taking over my phone. She's producing the show. She's doing post production, which I'm really glad. Jennifer, you do a great job with all of it, and I love you so much.
Thank you.
This is so much more fun. At one point, you were trying to encourage me to do my own podcast.
Yes.
And I was like, it'd be much more fun if we did it together, and it certainly is.
Yes, I agree. And yes, I think
it's much more entertaining because you bring, I guess, fun stories, and while I just bring news.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's exactly how it is. I do believe you should have your own TV show, but that would probably be about things that I don't really need to talk about all the time.
That you would never watch?
I'll watch it, but I don't think I need to be a part of that. But the podcast is definitely fun, and I'm enjoying it with you. So if you like us to continue, like us, subscribe, download, listen, and we appreciate all of your support, and we will see you sometime soon here. And keep your arguments reasonable and your nonsense fine. Bye.
Bye.